أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الصلاة والسلام على محمد وعليه الطيبين الطاهرين. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. My goodness, the 10th day of Ramadan, 1/3 of the month has gone away. And as far as the preparation for Laylatul Qadr comes, it's like drawing near and near and near. I hope we've made our lists of our physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual aspirations, and we're continually refining them. Also, maybe we've started a study of reciting and understanding Surah Al-Ankabut and Surah Al-Rum and maybe Surah Al-Dukhan as well. And we'll continue with that as the days go on. But first we will look at the first ayah of Juz 10. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. واعلموا أنما غنمتم من شيء فأن لله خمسه وللرسول ولذي القربى واليتامى والمساكين وابن السبيل إن كنتم آمنتم بالله وما أنزلنا على عبدنا يوم الفرقان يوم التقى الجمعان والله على كل شيء قدير. Now this ayah is about khums, where Allah says وَاعْلَمُوا know أنما غنمتم من شيء, that if you get anything extra, any windfalls, any extra savings you have, فَأَنَّ لِلَّهِ خُمُسَهُ, a fifth is for Allah and the Messenger and your near ones and the orphans and the poor and the refugees. If you believe in Allah and وَمَا أَنزَلْنَا عَلَى عَبْدِنَا, and what was revealed to our abd. So you'll find these rules of khums and fiqh, but in essence, pick a day, any day of the year, your birthday, the end of the Gregorian year, or the end of the lunar year. Just pick a date, and then on that day, work out what you've got extra, and make sure you give 1/5 away. Look at your rules of fiqh, and you'll be able to find more in them. But for now, we can recite the du'as for the month of Ramadan. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. يا علي يا عظيم يا غفور يا رحيم أنت الرب العظيم الذي ليس كمثله شيء وهو السميع البصير. وهذا شهر أذمته وكرمته وشرفته وفضلته على الشهور، وهو الشهر الذي فرضت صيامه عليه، وهو شهر رمضان الذي أنزلت فيه القرآن هدى للناس وبينات من الهدى والفرقان، وجعلت فيه ليلة القدر وجعلتها خيرا من 1000 شهر. فيا ذا المن ولا يمن عليك، من علي بفكاك رقبتي من النار في من تمن عليه، وادخلني الجنة برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. اللهم أدخل على أهل القبور السرور، اللهم أغني كل فقير، اللهم أشبع كل جائع، اللهم اكسو كل عريان، اللهم اقضي دين كل مدين، اللهم فرج عن كل مكروب، اللهم رد كل غريب، اللهم فك كل أسير، اللهم أصلح كل فاسد من أمور المسلمين، اللهم اشف كل مريض، اللهم سد فقرنا بغناك، اللهم غير سوء حالنا بحسن حالك، اللهم اقضي عنا الدين وأغننا من الفقر إنك على كل شيء قدير. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. اللهم رب شهر رمضان الذي أنزلت فيه القرآن وافترضت على عبادك فيه الصيام، صل على محمد وآل محمد وارزقني حج بيتك الحرام في عام هذا وفي كل عام، واغفر لي تلك الذنوب العظام فإنه لا يغفرها غيرك يا رحمن يا علام. We will now recite the dua for the 10th day of the month of Ramadan. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. اللهم اجعلني فيه من المتوكلين عليك، واجعلني فيه من الفائزين لديك، واجعلني فيه من المقربين إليك بإحسانك يا غاية الطالبين. O Allah, on this day, include me amongst those who trust you. Include me amongst those who are successful, amongst those who are close to you with your ihsan. Ihsan is when somebody gives you when you don't even deserve it. Ya ghayat al-talibin. Oh, the goal of those who seek. They seek to reach their full potential, and our goal is divinity. But today, because it is the 10th of Ramadan, we commemorate the wafat of Sayyidah Khadija. And I'd like to talk a little bit about her. Absolutely phenomenal woman. Absolutely phenomenal. First, let's look some basic parts about her life. So, her date of birth is not quite confirmed, but some say around 567 CE. Her mom and dad, Khuwaylid and Fatima. Khuwaylid, a very successful businessman, also a joint custodian of the Kaaba with Abdul Muttalib. Her parents die early. Now you can imagine, within 10 years of each other, and they leave behind her and her siblings. So she has two brothers, Awam and Usaid, and she has a sister called Hala, so they're orphans. But she's very smart. She takes up the business. Now, what is the business? The business is actually taking trade caravans. Now, you find it in Surah Al-Quraysh. So, trade caravans is how they used to trade. They used to take goods from Mecca to different parts of the Arabian Peninsula, and that's how they used to do business. So, in summer they used to go to Syria, and in winter they used to go to Yemen. Now, she always maintained who she was. Remember, this is a very male-dominated society. But she was very careful in keeping her integrity. You know, she was very smart and very successful, and she dedicated her life and wealth to humanity. She gave everything she had extra, and we talked about Khums here, everything extra to the poor, to the orphans, to the widows and the sick. She used to help poor girls get married, provide them with whatever they needed. And people still called her, because of who she was. Can you imagine how awesome she was? They called her Amiratul Quraysh, the princess of the Quraysh. They called her Tahira, the pure one. And she heard about the Prophet and how Abu Talib, she used to go on these trade caravans with Abu Talib, and his honesty and his trustworthiness. So she employs him, and she finds he's phenomenal. He's really good at what he does, and he's truthful, and he's trustworthy. She tells a friend, Nafisa, I want to get married to him. So Nafisa goes to him and said, will you marry her? And he says, well, I don't have anything. He said, it's okay. She still wants to marry you. Well, they do get married. And Abu Talib recites the nikah, and he places a black turban on Rasulullah's head. And that's why all Sayyids, you know, all the descendants of the Prophet wear a black turban because of this. And he gave him a green akik ring. So, you know, one of the signs of Shia is to wear a ring, and a green akik ring is really, really Shia. She was really, really a close companion to him. She believed in him totally. She loved him totally. You know, they were married for 25 years. That's quite a long time. And they had 3 children, out of which 2 died in infancy. And then she had Fatima. Her sister Hala dies, and Hala has 3 daughters, Zainab, Kulthum and Ruqayya. And so the Khadija and the Prophet adopt them, so they become part of their family. She's the first to believe in Rasulullah. She's the first to pray behind him. She was just awesome. And you know, she gave everything she had. She put it at his feet. You know, they were exiled. The Muslims were exiled in the valley of Abu Talib. And it was there that it was her wealth that sustained them. That's the sort of person she was. She died at the age of about 52 in Mecca. The Prophet was so sad that he called that year Amul Huzn, the year of grief. Let me just tell you a little bit about her that just gets me. When I think about her, she captured his heart, and he was the love of her life. See, it was her selfless love for him that comes to mind whenever I think of her. So here's my 2 pennies worth of thoughts. What was it about the Prophet that inspired such love that she laid everything she had at his feet? What energized her to take him food every day to the cave where he meditated? You know, when I go and see that mountain, it's pretty high. And I imagine her going up there to take him lunch. Why did she do that? She had so many servants at her disposal. What was it about him that she forsook the respect of the Meccans? I told you, the Meccans called her the the Malikatul Arab, the Queen of Arabia. They called her the Princess of Arabia. They called her At-Tahira. But as soon as she married the Prophet, they didn't want to know her at all. So what was it about the Prophet that made her give up absolutely everything? Well, there can only be one answer. She saw her Rabb in him. She saw him reflect divinity. And she teaches you and me that that's what we're supposed to do. When somebody sees us, we're supposed to be those that reflect the attributes of God, divinity. He reflected compassion. He reflected so much stuff, truthfulness, trustworthiness. And she could see that. And she could see how much it benefited her. We fall in love with those who reflect our version of divinity. And that's why the Prophet said, "Takhalluqu bi akhlaqillah." Adopt in yourselves the akhlaq of Allah. And I hope this will inspire all of us to learn the Asma al-Husna and be able to adopt them in our lives. But like I said, when she died, he was so sad. For him, that was the saddest moment of his life. And that's why he called it Amul Huzn. But maybe in her name, just maybe, if you can, sponsor an orphan. Because that's what she did. Give those in need. Maybe one iftar, have a very simple iftar, and sponsor the orphans. And give the money to those who are in need. Let us end with Surah Al-Fatiha and the dua for protection. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Ar-Rahmanir Rahim. Maliki Yawmiddin. Iyyaka na'budu wa iyyaka nasta'in. Ihdina as-siratal mustaqim. Siratal ladhina an'amta alayhim ghayril maghdubi alayhim waladdallin. Sadaqallahul Azim. Let us ask Allah to give the thawabs to the marhumin, to all those who are ill and all those who are in trouble. لي خمسة أطفي بها حر الوباء الحاتمة المصطفى والمرتضى وأبناهما والفاطمة. Inshallah, see you tomorrow.